What do you do when your husband acts like a boy and not as a man?
The Peter Pan syndrome.
You know, it's funny. I'd like to know how old or how young they're married, because nothing personal, but I think that is how all men start out when they're first married. It just it's a joke. In America they have movies about it. They just start off, women seem to get married and want to be
More mature.
they seem to be more mature when they first get married. Rick Thomas? No, it doesn't matter. Sacred Marriage. Wrote Sacred Marriage. He wrote a female book about that, to be honest. And he says that, you know, you get married and women just are kind of designed to be more mature and married, but men then think their wives can be their mothers and just act like boys a little bit longer. I would just say communicate, explain to them, just try and think at what areas, and if it's all areas, pick a couple areas to say, hey, I feel like your mom, not your wife. Could you do this? And slowly make progress and they grow out of it.
Yeah. Another tremendous resource with all of these questions that were posed is the church. Not that we're going to jump immediately into Matthew 18 with church discipline, but you could go to a man that your husband respects and say, without even gossiping, you could say, you know, like every couple, we're struggling in areas of our marriage. Would you mind just taking my husband out for golf, coffee, a meal, go do something with him, and just kind of see how he thinks our marriage is going and see if there's any way that you could help him. So, you know, that would be a tremendous resource that we have available to us, would be the local church. Also, if you could find biblical teaching, not so much Christian, got to be careful with that, but biblical teaching on the internet, webinars, maybe your church or a church in the area is having some marriage enrichment seminars or communication, you could do that as well. But yeah, and then you just got to pray. You know, James says that the effectual fervent prayer of a righteous individual avails much. Jesus says you have not, or James says you have not because you ask not. So I think sometimes, you know, just by humbling ourselves before God, not fighting the circumstance that we're in, and then asking God, He does great things.
Along those same lines, you made me think of something. In addition, practice hospitality and invite people over from your church. The church is the hub. Invite people over from your church that you respect their marriage, and just see if your husband or both of you can learn from their example.